The land, explored by our ancestors, extends from the outside to the wide sea. The scientific expedition, Trails of Nomads, continues to unveil the path of our forefathers. A group of scientists led by pilgrim of the 21st century, Sapar Iskakov, has already visited more than 40 countries. Scientists reveal the exciting secrets of the past. Watch an amazing story of a great journey in the Trails of Nomads program. Today's Trails of Nomads episode presents trade and logistics centers near megacities existed on the Kazakh land hundreds of years ago. What monuments prove this? Akyrtas, palace complex full of various secrets. Who has built it? Medieval steppe cities. Why and when did they disappear? The huge steppe, the vast land areas owned by the great ancestors, allowed them to be in constant motion, to update the places of migrations. However, the most favorable places for living were thoroughly settled down by wise progenitors. So a special urban culture, unlike others, appeared in the steppe. This is evidenced by historical monuments in the ancient land of Taraz. Having visited Almaty, participants of the scientific expedition went to the Jambal region. The scale of construction life in the medieval Taraz region was, one might say, higher than in any European city that existed at that time. This is the period of 6th, 7th, and 8th centuries. That is the time of existence of the Turkic Khaganate. Then there was the period of Karakhanid state. This is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th centuries. The legacy of the Great Sakas, the early Iron Age. Beri Kara Mound is one of the largest monuments on the territory of Kazakhstan. There are approximately 500 burial grounds here. Some of them are covered with white quartz stones. They seem to indicate a special descent or position of the deceased. Gold earrings, silver spoons, dishes made of bronze, and clay found during the excavations indicate that Saka civilization was ahead of Europe in development by several centuries.
Ерекшелігі сонда, бұның айналасында қоршалған әрбір тас 6 қатардан тұрады.
The peculiarity is that stone fences consist of 6 rows. According to scientists, these stones are a sign of respect for the one who is buried in the grave. They were installed by relatives as well as servicemen.
Қайтыс болған әруақтың әлгі қызметшілерінің қызмет ету мақсатында өзінің әруаққа деген, осы қайтыс болған адамға деген шын пейілін, құрметін білдіру мақсатында әрқайсысы жеке-жеке бір-бір тасты әкеліп қадап кеткен.
Another important legacy is the petroglyphs of the Karasai Gorge. These cave paintings refer to the Bronze and early Iron Ages. Masterfully made with sharp stones, drawings depict mostly horses, camels, and tigers. There are drawings of ostriches released from the hunter's snares. There is a reasonable question. How do tropical birds appear on the Kazakh land? To answer it, one needs a thorough study of these figures.
Жартастың бетіне салған уақыттың өзінде де кез келген тасқа сала бермеген. Ол сол уақыттың өзіне күнге.
The drawings were made only on stones burned by sunlight. That is, the petroglyphs were applied only on the front side of the stones under the direct influence of the sun rays.
Ал енді күннің сәулесі түспейтін бөліктерінде бұндай тасқа салынған суреттер жоқ.
Beri Kara Mound and Karasai petroglyphs are located not far from ancient Taraz. This suggests that the city also relates to the Saka Hun's historical period. Scientist Lev Gumilyov, in his research work Huns, wrote that in the 40s BC, the ruler of the Huns, Shoja, built a fortress on the bank of the Talas River. Thus, the story of Taraz began. After some time, the Chinese army led by Chen Tang attacked the city and almost completely destroyed it. But still, in the 6th century, in the heyday of the Turks, Taraz was fully restored, according to the Byzantine written sources dating back to 568 year BC.
Mikhail Sergeyevich Mershiyev'in бірнеше жерден салған барлау қазбаларының нәтижесінде
Archaeologist Mikhail Sergeyevich Mershiev found historical sources dating from the 1st century of the ancient land of Taraz. The depth of the excavation reached 6 meters. As the scientist noted, if it were not for the groundwater that prevented further excavation, who knows, it might be possible to reach the cultural layers dating back to BC.
Мүмкін Тараздың біздің заманымызға дейінгі мәдени қабаттарын ашар ма едім дейді.
According to archaeologists, the length of the ancient fortress city Taraz was nearly 40 kilometers. There were no such large cities on the coast of Talas in the region. From the 6th to the 13th century, Taraz was the largest trade and economic center of the Great Silk Road. This was written in the manuscripts of the Byzantine historian Menard. In the 6th century, Byzantium sought allies to create an alliance against the Persians. Led by Zemra, a special embassy was sent to the West Turkey Khaganate. The ruler of the Turks, Pastimi Kagan, received diplomats at his headquarters in Taraz. After the meeting, the whole world learned about Taraz. Famous geographers, historians, and travelers vied to write and admire the beautiful city.
Сол уақыттағы қала құрылысының көшелерінің тар болуына байланысты мыңдаған түйемен келіп қаланың ішінде кептеліс тудырды.
At that time, the streets of the city were narrow. Thus, to receive huge caravans numbering thousands of camels, special caravanserais were built on the outskirts of Taraz. This is the place, for example, where one of these caravanserais was located. It stood in the northwest of the city and served merchants arriving from this direction. Another similar base hosted caravans from the east. It was in the village called Tonkeres. From the 11th to the 13th century, caravans arriving from the west stopped in the Torkkol caravanserai. Taraz traders came here for the necessary goods. This advanced system resembles the current trade and logistics centers near major metropolitan areas. At that time, the traders of China, with all their wishes and problems, appealed to the Khagans. Caravans equipped with goods, on average, traveled 25-30 kilometers a day. Afterwards, the people and animals carrying the goods needed rest. So similar caravanserais were needed. They were built by the Turkic Khagans, who in turn were interested in meeting merchants on their territory. Therefore, all conditions were created for them. Every 25-30 kilometers along the trade routes, merchants could stay in the equipped caravanserais. Kostobe is another historical place, transshipment base. The city provided Taraz with food, weapons, and other goods in the period from the 6th to the 13th century. Its ancient name is Jamohat. All buildings in it are special. They are decorated with ornaments and patterns indicating prosperity and a developed socioeconomic level. This is narrated in Diwan Lugat at-Turk, the famous work of Mahmud Kashgari written in 1075. The book notes that the Khagans of the city wore clothes made of silk.
Орта ғасырлық қаланың тарихи топографиялық құрылымы өте жақсы сақталған. Әсіресе мына қаланың сырттай қоршап жатқан қамалы.
Historical and topographical structure of the medieval city is very well preserved, especially the outer walls of the fortress, the towers, which were located every 30-35 meters. There was also a ditch protecting the city. Water flowed into it through a channel diverted from the Talas River. This is a very advanced fortification system. Medieval Chinese traveler Xuan Zhang described Kulan as a beautiful city. Indeed, the houses here were not similar to each other. Each was tiled and decorated in a unique manner. For this purpose, various building materials were used, including large gravel, lime, and alabaster. Some additives were obtained by complex chemical reactions. This suggests that already in the 6th century, our ancestors were very smart. The level of knowledge was quite high, and the proof of this is high-strength buildings preserved to this day.
Бұл жердегі тұрғылықты тұрғындардың өмір сүрген үйлерінің қабырғаларының ішкі беттерінің бәрі.
All houses in the city are decorated with an ornament from the inside. They're lined with terracotta, facing tiles of the facades of buildings. During the recent excavations in the southwestern part of the city, many interesting artifacts have been found.
Орналасқан бөлігіндегі жүргізілген археология қазба жұмыстарының кезінде керемет
To the east of Kulan, about 40 kilometers away, there is the city named Merke. Upon arrival, the expedition team met up a group of scientists led by the famous archaeologist Madyar Yelouov, who led excavations here. In Soviet times, there was no assumption that the city was built by Soviets. Modern researchers refute this assumption, and quite reasonable. Unique coins, Turkish tenge dating from 7th to 8th centuries, was the result of a 2-week, painstaking work of archaeologists in Merke. If we talk about people who lived here, we can definitely say that they were Turks. These are the ancestors of the Kazakhs. Another find of archaeologist Madhyar Yelauov is the wintering area of Keray Khan. The palace complex consists of 9 apartments and was found in the area of Khan Mount in Monkum district. Nearby is the city of the Kazakh Khanate.
Ең қызығы қаланың бетінде өртенген үстіңгі жақ. Мен 89-да 4 бөлім ашқанмын.
The most interesting, as it turned out, the city was repeatedly caught in fire. Excavations have shown this. At a depth of 1.5 meters, 2 gold coins were found, the whole and the 4th part. This is the Khwarezm Shah period. Money dates back to the 20s of the 13th century. During that period, there were fires. These are the times of the Mongol invasion, and then the life seems to stop. Earlier, Jibek and Keray founded the city here. The present Aktobe is once the capital of the Great Turkic Khanate, as well as the state of Karakhanids, Balasagun. However, the Kyrgyz claim to its historical affiliation. According to them, Balasagun was there in place of the Buran Tower. Which version is true?
Бірақ жазба деректерде Баласағұн қаласы Жібек жолынан кішкене алшақтау жатқан деп айтылады. Сол жағынан келген кезде біздің осы Ақтөбеміз Баласағұнның орны болуға.
Written sources indicate that Balasagun was not on the Silk Road, but at a certain distance from it. Therefore, it is quite possible that the place where Balasagun once located may well be the current Aktobe. The Arab historian Al-Idrisi says that in the Turkic period, Balasagun was the main city of 4 states. In Balasagun, there were 200 ordinary and 20 mosques. He mentions the presence of 10 dervish lodges and numerous madrasa.
200 жай емес, 20 жұма емес, содан кейін 10 ханакка бар деп.
Of course, after such detailed descriptions, there is every reason to say that Aktobe really stands on the place where the ancient Balasagun was located from the 5th to the 13th century. It turns out that the great Jussu Balasagun and Mahmud Kashgari lived and created their works on the Kazakh land.
Қырғызстандағы Баласағұн деп жүрген Бурана жердің аты. Бұл Караханиттер.
Balasagun is the name of Burana locality. This is the period of Karakhanids, that is, the 10th, 11th, 12th centuries. Then the state was divided into 2 parts, eastern and western. And now Kyrgyz Balasagun is the capital of the eastern Karakhanids, and Balasagun near the present Aktobe was the capital of the western Karakhanids. There is such a version, but all this requires careful research.
Ол батыс Караханид мемлекетінің орталығы болған. Ондай да жағдай болуы мүмкін. Бірақ енді ол әлі зерттеліп тексеретін нәрсе.
Members of the scientific expedition headed for the city of Tamdi after Balasagun. It is located east of Taraz, not far from Saudakent. It is a large shopping center that flourished from the 6th to the 13th century. During archaeological excavations, only 25% of the ancient city was cleared. The rest is under the current Karatau. Scientists and archaeologists have also found a lot of evidence that testifies to the numerous medieval raids on Tamdi.
Мынау енді сол орта ғасырлардың кезіндегі қамал бұзатын катапульттың әлгі оғы.
This is the core of the catapult for the destruction of fortresses. It was made of granite. Apparently from the other side of the river, you can raise it. After all, medieval warriors raised and charged the catapult. One person does not seem to cope. Probably 2 persons could raise it.
Сол заманның азаматтары да осыны көтеріп, әлгі катапульттың несіне салды ғой. Ой-бой. 2 адам көтермесе, жалғыз адам көтеру қиындау болады екен.
Ancient Taraz is an important strategic center. Therefore, it was the object of constant strife and litigation. Here were the biggest battles. During the reign of the Karakhanid dynasty, Islam was developed in the region. It was during this period that the Akyrtas complex appeared. There is a place where the mosque was located, but someone calls it a defensive structure. Others consider there was a monastery. No matter what, of course, the building has a valuable historical significance. Particular attention should be paid to the technology of its construction, which stores many secrets.
Әрбір 10-15 сантиметр сайын тас тескен. біздің енді қазіргі ғалымдарымыздың тұжырма.
On the surface of large stones, there is a flat line along which a groove is made. Holes were made in the stones every 10 to 15 centimeters along the line. According to scientists, wedges were driven in there, and by the deepening, they directed water to them. The wooden wedges swelled in this way, and a crack appeared in the stones, and the stones broke.
Кіргізу, батыру мақсатында ол тасты жарып түсірген.
The weight of stones is from 300 kilograms to 2 tons. The width, 3 to 4 meters. The impressive thickness of the erected walls indicates that Akyrtas was a large-scale construction site, but unfortunately, the complex was not completed. The reasons for this are still unknown. However, it is clear that the Turks built Akyrtas. On the stones, there are generic signs, Tanba. These facts say that our ancestors were also skilled builders.
Жердің табиғаты өте жартылай шөлейт аймақ. Бұл жерде су мәселесі өте қиын.
Here is a semi-desert, which meant the difficulty with water. But already in those days, there was a developed system of delivery and supply of water. From the spring at the foot of the Shoshkali Mountains, earthen water pipe was laid. But to the southwest of the complex, there was a mine where stones were stored.
Осы тас құрылыс кешенінің оңтүстік батыс шетінде орналасқан кен орнында тастарды дайындаған.
Islam in the region spread precisely from the territory of Taraz. Therefore, here in the 12th century, the tradition of establishing stone balbals was completed. Previously, all the Turkic tribes who believed in the god Tengri, that is, worshipped the sky, after the death of well-known tribesmen necessarily installed a stone statue above his grave. To make a sculpture of solid granite required great skill. Now there are over 50 balbals in the Jambul Local History Museum. Mostly, they were taken from the mountains.
Здесь у нас скульптура X века, можно сказать, закат творчества.
The stone statue dates back to the 10th century. Great job. There are so many exact details. There are even necklines. The lower part of the body is painted white. That is, the master conveys the image of a person wearing a white outfit. As for the belt, there are two versions regarding it. The first is the usual belt. The second is the most important element of the monument. It has an inscription in a runic letter. It means that people buried the owner of the belt.
Что это просто поясное украшение, но кто-то из ученых утверждает, что здесь читается надпись руническая.
In the 6th century, the Great Silk Road changed its direction. The reason for this was the numerous obstacles along the route that passed through Afghanistan and Pakistan. One of the reasons is robbers. It was during this period of history that the cities flourished in the south of the Great Steppe. New trade and craft centers began to appear on the coast of the Talas River. It was a real technical and technological revolution. One example is the appearance of baths. Here's one of them, although it was built in the 19th century by Kali Yunus Ishat. But in general, the construction and development of baths began here in the 6th century. Especially many of them were in ancient Taraz.
Бұл да сол жекеленген адамдардың жаңағы отырып жуынатын бөлмелері. Жалпы шығыстың моншалары бір тән.
These are special washing facilities for noble people. In them, important officials not only washed but also conducted negotiations and resolved various issues.
Дипломатиялық маңызды мәселелер шешетін.
Medieval cities in the south of the Great Steppe probably would be leaders now, but wars and predatory raids have done their job. Genghis Khan's campaign in the 13th century put an end to rapid development and entailed a decline. However, not everyone shares this version. There are many scientists who believe that the main reason of this situation was the opening of sea routes and communications, and accordingly, the trade along the Great Silk Road stopped.
қазір сол қайтадан дамыту.
Now the Great Silk Road is being revived. Of course, this is a new form, but the essence remains the same, the development of the economies of the countries participating in this project. The route is the same, China-Europe. Most of the way passes through the territory of Kazakhstan, and this, again, as in former times, is very beneficial to us. After a completing journey in the Jambul region, participants of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads went to the sacred Turkestan land. This place is considered the ancestral home and cultural capital of all Turkic peoples. Watch the next episode to learn about the great heritage left by our ancestors there.